Hello teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back. Today we have a not unexpected but disappointing legal cannabis haul from Chantal in one of the most tone-deaf videos I've seen in a while. Like, ridiculously impressively tone-deaf videos I've seen in a while. She's going to show us all the cannabis she's bought to get her through this coming off drugs arc. I need help. So I've cut this down. She did do another I'm doing the react, my darlings. She did another live after this called Spaghetti, but there was no major revelation in it, I don't believe. We'll discuss it very briefly at the end, depending on timing. So I'm not going to subject you to the 3 to 4 hours of that, but I have cut this down to about 20 minutes. So let's get into it.
So, I have a whole bunch of items to get me through all this crap I'm going through.
Oh, good.
The mushrooms I have I'm going to try for microdosing.
Number one, she has no idea what microdosing means because she's never spoken to a doctor about her dose. She doesn't know what an appropriate dose for her is. She tends to very much overestimate what a good dose is. And two, lots of people pointed out to me after she last tried mushrooms, which I don't understand why she's trying it a third time. She's hated it both times she's had it. But mushrooms are still illegal in Canada. They've been decriminalized, but they're not legal. So Chantal is not ordering her stuff from legal sources in Canada. She's just ordering them online, not from the authorized stores.
Yeah, if you're just here to be a cannabis hater, seriously, like, it gets people through hard times.
That's what concerns me about her cannabis use. I don't have a problem with cannabis being legalized. I don't have a problem with people using it recreationally. I have a problem with her personally, Chantal Foodie Beauty, and the way she has presented her cannabis use online, just disappearing into her weed and completely blotting out her life. I think she's very emotionally dependent on it, and I really don't think it's a healthy thing for her to have with all the other stuff she goes through, but actually in general in her life. I think she uses it to blot out her thoughts way too much, and she'd do much better to be addressing some of her emotional issues, which is the base thought of so many of these things on her channel. But even if it's not as dangerous or as expensive or as harmful physically, mentally, I don't think she should be on cannabis right now, or perhaps even ever.
I ordered some things yesterday because here in Ontario, where I'm in Ottawa, cannabis is completely legal, and it actually has a lot of medicinal properties. As you know, people can get prescription for it.
She doesn't have a prescription for it, and she has said before she doesn't want to talk to a doctor about it because she knows what the doctor will say. So she's overly dependent, she's taking too much of it. She doesn't want to hear the answer the doctor would give her, so she doesn't talk to the doctor, and she then claims it's medical. You can get a prescription. Medical cannabis is a thing, but I think there is something to be unpacked there to say when you're hiding it from your doctor, particularly the amounts you're hiding from your doctor. And if it's legal and if you don't have to worry about it, go talk to her. And if it's not, and you think she won't give it to you and that's why you're not talking to her, then it's not medicinal, my darling. Also, this really careful point, she puts the word legal in her title as well. I'd be so interested, just as a fly on the wall, to see the back end of her YouTube, because I want to know how much of her stuff has either been demonetized, limited ads. I don't know. When this ran, it was a members only chat, but it was monetized, I do believe, like where you can receive super chats and things. I don't know if it's monetized right now. I can tell you she lit up later and didn't age restrict it in any way. I don't know kind of where YouTube stands with that. I can remember once, I think it was when Jeffree Star released something. Anyway, at the beginning of a video, you think Jeffree Star, whatever you think of him, has a lot of followers, has a lot more power with YouTube than she does. And he he lit up on camera and he got demonetized, and he was like, yeah, YouTube said please don't do that. And I'm pretty sure he lives in a legal state because he's so involved in the business of it. So I'd be very interested to see what's happening on her back end, particularly with the money conversation we had last time.
So I just got a whole bunch of stuff to try to get me through, because I find one of the major, I guess, withdrawal symptoms I've been experiencing is just this like anxiousness that really just smoking a bit or taking like one gummy will just like help me relax, you know.
And the anxiousness has not been unique to the drugs, though. I'm sure she's probably feeling it more post-drugs, but post-coke, I mean, not the other stuff. She does have a diagnosis for anxiety, I do believe, anxiety and depression. She hasn't been compliant with meds. I'm not sure at the moment if she has a prescription for anxiety, though. I know she has one for her depression. I don't know if she's taking her antidepressants right now, because and we'll talk about that a bit later, because she asked a question that was worded a bit funny. I know she's been on meds for anxiety before and hasn't liked them, hasn't liked how it made her feel, and rather than go back to her doctor, she just stopped taking them. I don't know what the current status is. I know she came off a lot of her meds and has been non-compliant in her meds in recent times. So I don't believe she's taking an anti-anxiety med right now. And I'm like, if your anxiety is bad, there are avenues you can follow. There are avenues you have followed before. Go, and this is a running theme, please go talk to your doctor instead of self-medicating. Because if you've got all these problems, there are solutions for it.
Now, I ordered so many things that this company gave me a free gold, are you guys here? A gold THC milk chocolate made in Canada.
I have priced up this haul. There was one item I couldn't find the price of. I will put the things on screen. Because this was free, I haven't included it. But this had, I've just searched the item and then looked at kind of average prices for Canada. So this had a $60 value. So just think for a minute how much you think she spent. I will tally it at the end.
1,000 milligram chocolate bar. So I'm going to be excited to try
micro dosing.
So yeah, so it might seem like until it's like fully out, it takes like at least like the doctor said it could take like 3 days at least to like fully leave your system.
A note about her timeline and about this whole conversation. She went to her uncle's, like she used until the morning, they went to the uncle's, so that was day 1. She stayed the next day, she saw her sister and her mom, they made pizza, that was day 2. Either she's come back on day 3 or she's come back the night of day 4. Not day 4, day 2. Sorry, I got a message and it had a 4 in it and I was reading while I was talking. So she's either come back the night of day 2 or the morning of day 3. I'm not quite sure where we are in the timeline right now. So in terms of how much she would be showing physically, I'm not sure. I don't know. I've discussed before that my knowledge on illegal drug taking is very, very limited, but it seems like she's making a lot of excuses early on as to why it might really, really look like she's on coke. And that concerned me a little bit. Well, she's really desperate to excuse certain things we can see, and with the context of all the lies she's told us, it makes it really hard to believe. Okay? And I'm just saying, I'm going in with some healthy skepticism.
So I could have symptoms. She said even dilated pupils could be, you know, a reoccurrence.
Yeah, but she's also on day 3, we think. So I would say at this point, it'd be pretty much out your system. And she mentioned something about how she's feeling as well a bit later on, which we'll continue this discussion then.
Until it's out of your system, so just, I think my pupils are okay now, but just telling you.
Yeah. It might really, really look like I'm on coke.
I know this sounds so bad. I have so much support that it's a little overwhelming at times.
I bet it is. Because usually she hides this stuff from her family, and this is what I was saying before about it's going to be really interesting. Because this whole stream is basically, as much as she really wants to have the title of this is now a recovery journey because she can throw it out as a slap to anyone criticizing her. She doesn't actually want the practical concerns of her family checking in on her because it feels like they're trying to control her then. And she can wipe clean a lot of concerns and she can gloss over them on channel whether you go with it or not. But her family now know, and there's no undoing that.
Like, there's times where I've been snappy at my family.
Yeah, and I did predict that.
I feel so bad because, like, a lot of support when you're, like, not feeling good is overwhelming a little bit, I'm noticing.
Yeah, and she was, when she did her last stream, she was saying, well, I kind of want to go home tomorrow, and they were like, nuh-uh, no. And I thought that was going to go badly, and now she's home. She's home really quick. I wish she had stayed at her uncle's for a week. I really do, because it feels like the isolation of that. I wish they had taken her phone because all of the control really comes through her phone because she didn't have a car there. So, but also could you imagine, because it's hard for then her to get takeout, if she was coming off the drugs and then also didn't have the food, we'd have seen some things. But I would have liked to see her phone just come away and her have to be cut off for a little bit, because I think it would have been a really good thing for her. But she clearly got out of there as fast as she physically could. And she said she ordered these things yesterday.
Buddy, just a quick thought that occurred to me while I was editing this. So I'm not quite sure how the money worked out while she was ordering all this cannabis, because as of the end of the previous stream, her money wasn't under her own control, she claimed. Speaking of lies, I know she's not reliable. But if I were her family and she'd said, by the way, can I have some money? I want to order something. I would have had a lot of questions to ask. So either she ordered this huge amount of cannabis with the full knowledge of her family as she's going through essentially a drug detox, which seems very odd, or she paid through it through saved numbers on her phone, in which case taking her money away seems pretty useless. Now, obviously, I'm sure you don't order up coke online the way you order up cannabis, as it's legal in Canada. But we did talk about them not taking her phone away and how really, you know, she had a lot of power still with her phone. And it makes me just wonder if her family is aware of just how much cannabis use she has going on or not, because I feel like this would have prompted a fair few uncomfortable questions with the context of everything else going around, legal or not. It may just have been her family was so relieved it wasn't cocaine they didn't give a shit, or they didn't care enough to argue it, but it just seems a bit odd.
So within a day of being at her uncle's, she was like, I need to order some things, because she had to have it as soon as she got home, which doesn't paint a great picture, to be honest.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I did get more packs of the Shatter Bears. As you can see,
I'll put a price
one
somewhere.
already, not today, but yesterday. I'm going to be just having like a lower dose.
So she did, when she got home yesterday, she immediately started with the cannabis products.
Like probably 60, like maximum kind of thing, you know?
Okay. And that's not microdosing. Compared to what she was doing perhaps, but 60 is still a very decent dose. And so bear in mind, she said yesterday she had a bear, so that's 50 milligrams that she's already admitted to taking, because it's going to be relevant in a second.
Not 200 milligrams. Hi, Lindsay. This is just like medication for me right now. It's not like, it's not
medication because you haven't talked to a fucking doctor. Talk to a doctor, then it's medicine.
Plus, it's actually not recreational. This is like, I need this right now.
That is not true. Do not take it as true. Do not take it home thinking this is an okay thing to do instead of talking to somebody who knows about it.
I love these things. These are the caviar. I put the, like, thing in, like, for example, and these. I got some, Marissa.
Okay. Again, those are pre-rolled joints. Thank you for explaining pre-rolls to me. Now that I know they're just pre-rolled joints, the name really should have clued me in, but there we go. Again, I've priced these just by searching on the internet, but I'll price them as best I can on screen.
These are the best rolling papers. These are raw cones. I don't know if you guys know. Yeah, these come with like, they're pre-rolled. I did roll myself some yesterday.
The chances that she rolled some yesterday and didn't use one yesterday, So we've got the bear, we've got at least one pre-roll. I don't know how much is in per roll. Oh yeah, by the way, she lights up on screen. She spends this whole live smoking.
I'm gonna lay down and just like watch stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm in a funk. Like I have ups, I have downs. Like, I don't know.
I watched Smokey Steve and Mark talking about this because Mark professionally works with people in this position, and he was saying that Coke is more of an emotional come down than it is, because they were talking about the dangers of detox and how Coke isn't really as dangerous as other substances like opiates or alcohol. And so I don't think it's surprising that her mood is everywhere right now.
I got a nugget of pomegranate juice. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's expensive, like 3.5 grams. It came in like a nugget. It was like $55. I didn't realize it would be that small, but it's really, really potent.
Okay, so this to me, the way she's speaking about this, like it came in that it was really potent, it was smaller than expected, implies to me she's already opened and used it yesterday. So we've gone from 50 milligram bear, I'm guessing a pre-roll of some kind, I'm guessing one, and this nugget thing. So how are we doing on the milligrams there? Because it was $55 and it's really potent. I'm guessing it was fairly high in concentration. Like, how's the microdosing going?
And then I have 14 grams of cheese kush. I don't know what cheese kush is on I just saw that. I'm like, cheese? Okay, anything with cheese. I have some Matego.
This was the one thing I couldn't price, I think because I was likely completely screwing up the spelling. So my final tally doesn't have this included.
Matego, I need to order some CBD because I heard that CBD is really good for anxiety.
You're already burying your anxiety. You can get an anxiety prescription if your anxiety is that bad, but you literally have this entire haul. You don't need more stuff. You don't need more stuff.
Does anyone know if Matego is indica or sativa?
Every time she says it, I want to say manchego for the cheese.
This feels more like a crap. It's more like a. I mix this kind. It's a less potent strain.
God forbid
so
you lower your dose.
See, I prefer indica. I have polysporin in my nose, by the way, because...
Again, like, I know this really looks like I'm on coke, you guys. No, it's definitely polystyrene. Remember when she was admitting to it all being coke and she was saying, yeah, I technically have allergies, but no, every time I blow my nose, it's coke. She blows her nose later. I cut out some stuff in here. Like, oh no, this is definitely polystyrene. Styrene? Not quite, but a word similar to that. And, you know, she makes a bit of a show of putting some more on later, off camera. And just, hey dude, if you know that your audience is likely a little bit sensitive to signs of drug use right now, maybe just don't. Maybe just don't show this stuff. Don't keep talking about this stuff because it seems like she's protesting really hard right now.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. But for sativa, yeah, it's better to, I find sativa gives me more anxiety. It's more uppity than indica, and right now what I need, because I'm so uppity, is to be down. I need to like relax.
This doesn't make sense to me unless she's used more recently, because she's on day 3. I don't think she'd still be super uppity. I don't think at this point she would be unless she'd used more recently, but as I've said, I'm not an expert in any way, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if someone with more knowledge on that subject could let me know. It seems very late in the day to say you're uppity, and it does contrast completely with what she says in a second, which is, oh, she's so down, she's so tired. Now, I did say, sorry, just to be fair to her, I did say I think it's normal that her mood would swing, but I don't think like this.
Oh, and then last, but certainly not least, what I've been sprinkling on my joints
To make them stronger.
is something called, this is indica, and I also have a sativa indica. This is sunrock. This is cake batter flavor. And this is all you get for $40. I know that my family.
Okay. Before we get into this, so I tallied that up and I came up with $490, but then there are two things I couldn't, well, the mushrooms I factored in at $40. I saw a price of like 3.5 grams for 47 for 75, I think it was. I assumed 40 for that. And remember, I didn't know how to price the one that, not manchego, but sounds like cheese. So she spent over $500 on this. And if you think back to all that financial stuff we were talking about yesterday, it's a lot of money to blow. And then she's saying, also I need CBD, also I need this. And she's still claiming, even if I think it's a complete lie, that she doesn't make $2,000 a month on her YouTube. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of expenditure. And when she's saying I can't afford a coke habit, she can't afford this either. Clearly they're different drugs. Clearly they are very different price ranges. But if you're going to be using this much to this extent, it's a big old financial hole. So I'd be interested to see how the money talk continues and where are her fears of homelessness right now. Because this isn't like $50 you're spending, it's 500, over 500.
It's just really worried and going through it with me. I can't bring myself to call my grandmother and like talk to her.
I know her and her grandma are closer than maybe other members of her family. And I know she spoke to a lot of people and maybe the grandma will hear anyway. But if grandma is still pretty frail, we don't know at the moment with the update. I'd be tempted to say, hey, maybe leave grandma out of it for now. Maybe she doesn't need to be included in this right now, particularly as it seems she doesn't want to get help at all. It doesn't seem like anything's going to change here. So maybe it's not worth opening that discussion.
You know, I just don't want to talk to anybody right now. Like, I'm just going through it, you know?
Yeah. Going through it is usually a good reason to talk to people. I'm just pointing that out.
And I'm still, my nose is a lot better, but
that was me being shady.
I'll probably forever be blowing it on camera because of the fact that regardless of anything up it, I still have allergy.
She does still have allergies, but she never had to do this blow, blow, dig motion that she does to the extent that she does until she was using. A lot of little things that are definitely not coke use are adding up here.
Which I do.
Okay, and then she just says fuck it and lights up. And I know it's legal where she is, but come on now.
People need to just fucking love, I know.
I cut out a lot of the rage she had at the audience. I didn't cut out all of it, but a lot of the rage she had at the audience. And this message of you just need to be pleasant, juxtapositioned with all the crap she puts into her live, is quite a contrast.
Smoke a friggin' kush. Just smoke some cheese kush.
So that there, again, I left in because you know how we say she doesn't influence people? I mean, long-term viewers, you'd look at her and be like, I do not want to be like her. But she's just advising, you know, this is what I do, this is great, it's so much better, it's medicinal practically, and also smoke some. I feel like YouTube should have more problems with this than they do. I know it's technically legal where she is, but where it's going out to, it isn't everywhere. So I don't know how advertisers would feel about this particular shot next to their product, but that's YouTube's business, I suppose.
Cannot afford, exactly. That's point blank period, you know? And
yeah, she can't afford a coke habit, but she can afford $500 if it's a cannabis habit, plus more CBD.
Not just that, but it's just so bad for you. Like, I feel so much like crap right now.
Yep, I can believe that. I think there's a lot of reasons you feel like crap right now. I think could be not being on the proper medication, could be not eating right, could be the fact that you're smoking with your lungs, and I did cut out her choking every time she took a breath of it. Could be a lot of things.
Like, I could feel I'm so depleted of just like energy and happiness.
But she's really uppity right now, and that's what I didn't understand as a contrast. I'm like, are you or aren't you?
But I'm not craving. Like, that's good. I'm just,
That is good.
you know, this really is helping with cravings and just relaxation.
I think whatever it needs to be helpful with, it will be helpful with, so long as she can keep using it.
And I wonder if taking antidepressants helps, because that like replenishes your happy stuff, right, in your brain.
She is supposed to be on antidepressants, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I was like, she mentioned something. From the sound of that, she doesn't seem to be on them currently, but I could just be misinterpreting that as a sentence.
They're back to normal, but yeah, it takes a while. I don't know, I just feel a little different. But, I mean, I haven't been doing it for very long, which the doctor said is an advantage. Like, usually when they see, you know, people come in, they've been usually, you know, using for more than 2 months, or heavily for just like a month or something. Way longer than that, you know? So, well, that's why I, like, reached out for help, because I was just like, this is getting bad.
And she had that realization, but now we're here, and is cannabis the same as coke? Absolutely not. But some of the behavior, some of the talking points she's about, like not wanting to talk to people, not wanting to kind of deal with it mentally, doesn't bode well for her accessing any of the support she's now asked for and received.
You know, like, this is getting bad. So what it was is, it's called like access to recovery, like assessment or something like that. So they assess based on like a whole bunch of questions. They ask you what kind of care they would suggest for you based on the urgency of your need, your situation, your addiction. Basically, so they ask you questions like, so number 4 is going to be like less within the month, like within a time frame. When have you, for example, it's like what do you use? How long have you been using? Yeah, see, I think your pupils can get bigger smoking this too. Cause
Well, it would certainly be convenient for you if they could. I got no idea if it's true, but I feel like she thinks if she points this out, then she can't possibly be lying. And I don't know. I couldn't judge last time when she was on it when she was, so maybe I'm wrong, but I wish she'd stop pointing it out, because the more she does, the more it makes her sound like a liar.
look, got bigger since. So like, have you heard in the past, like, have you heard any voices telling you to do what to do, like that kind of thing? And they also, if you want to be referred to some kind of like government-funded recovery, then you can. He just flat out said, like, I think you could kick this coke thing. That's exactly what he said. Just based on, like, I haven't been using for a long time. I wasn't using every single day.
It would be really nice if that were true, but I think there are so many other aspects in terms of her and generalized addictive feelings in all facets of her life that it's going to be a lot more difficult than it sounds.
He suggested this, like, community home detox program, but it's like they call you within 4 weeks. And I'm like, well, how long does it take to detox from cocaine? Because I'm not taking it right now. All about 3 days. Okay, so in 4 weeks, what am I going to need the detox for?
It's a nice answer.
Sorry if I sound like annoyed. It's just like, what is the point? Like, unless I'm still, I mean, I'm still going to be on the wait list, because in case anything happens, or if a relapse happens, or...
Here's something that really concerned me about that. If you remember way back when, and basically any time she's decided she's going to have a serious attempt at dieting, the old run of crap eating tends to end with a fast food funeral. And what worries me about the detox center is that I feel like that would be her I'll start on Monday. This is just going by her behavior when she eats, and the fact that I think that reasoning and that justification will transfer over into this type of addiction as well. And I'm just going by sort of how I get when I'm in that same mentality with food, where I'm like, okay, so if I'm starting on Monday, I can actually do this, and I might as well do. There's a lot of justification that goes in it, and I think we have very similar thought processes with certain things. But just transferring that straight into the drug habit rather than the food habit, I think her having that will become, that is my start date. And okay, so long as I'm waiting to get through to there, I'll have a fallback if I use a little bit from there, and maybe I could lose a little bit more weight, or maybe if I fall off the wagon and I do, let's use the word relapse, assuming she stayed off it for a certain amount of time to make that appropriate, then I've always got this. Because I think it's just going to encourage her to make this a fast food funeral just for Coke until that comes through. So I think this month is going to get very dodgy so long as she's got that, because it's really easy to justify, okay, that is somewhere in the future, I'm on that wait list and therefore I'm still working towards it, and if I slip, I'm human, don't shame me. I worry about it. I worry about her having it as an option, not because I don't want her to get help, but because I think it will encourage her not to help herself until it happens.
Or whatever, I don't know. He's like, what I would suggest for you is, I can't remember, I wrote it all down, like I had to have a pen, like I wrote it on my phone, but
I hope
it's
she
like
wrote it down, because
smart recovery.
She really tends to blank out on things doctors say because she doesn't want to hear it, so I hope she's got this written down, and I hope her uncle has as well.
Is it smart recovery? There's a website, or Better Recovery or something like that. He's gonna give me login information, like he's sending me the email with all the information. I gave him my like health card number, and because of that, I get to use this, hi Audrey, use this service for like, I think a year. And it's like online counseling, so I'm gonna take the time when I get up to like sign up and like look into it.
I don't believe her. She might have mentioned it in the Spaghetti Live, maybe, I don't know. I don't believe she's gonna access it. I think she's got this image of medical intervention with this counselling, whatever, is the equivalent to a team of people like dragging her in and saying, no, and now you have to do this, and so she'd comply. But if she's gonna have to take the step, if she's gonna have to be the one to make the commitment, which she has to be in any form of counselling, I don't think she's gonna access any of these things. She might sign up just to prove she did, so that when the ER doctor follows up, she goes, no, I'm signed up to this, I'm on a plan. But I can't see her sustaining any kind of counselling relationship with something that she has to sort out, arrange, commit to, continue with under her own power.
Then there's the remote smart recovery NA meetings also, which they always suggest.
One thing I could say with it, the one caveat to what I've just said is that there is a possibility if she doesn't have to go into a room with these people, she might at least try a meeting because she feels safer behind her computer. That's a possibility as well, but ultimately I don't think she will.
It's like if you wanted some kind of, so I'm like, what about like inpatient treatment? Like how does that, like how do you determine who needs that? Like, so I was right, like I don't need like, he doesn't think I need like a medical detox or anything like that.
Okay, fair.
But if I wanted to go into like an inpatient center, I would have to like do like a second assessment, which they're only booking for in like September. Like this is if you want it covered by the government. If you want like to pay for your own private rehab place, it's like 30, 40, 50 grand.
That sounds awful. In terms of the money, I don't know if they'd have some kind of payment plan for that, where she could like pay it back. I don't know. I'm assuming that people don't always have 50 grand on hand and that there'd be something going on in terms of bills. I can understand with it being a government paid thing that they would keep the rehab beds for people who medically are in a much more urgent position than her and need a lot more medical intervention in terms of getting off it, because she swanned into this and she's basically swanning out of it. So in terms of physical impact, as dangerous a position and as precarious as a position she's in, she hasn't actually done the damage just yet.
My pupils are literally normal right now. They were like just big when I smoked, like you guys saw. And so if you come in here to talk about my pupils, or are you annoying me in any way? It could be even you saying like cheeseburger, or not cheeseburger, but...
She could never be mad at cheeseburgers.
I'm just gonna block you, because right now, I'm a bitch.
Right now or always? I'm just saying. Okay, that was a bit bitchy of me, to be completely fair. Let's be honest and real with that. She was an absolute raging bitch to her chat multiple times throughout this stream. It got a bit boring at times, and so I just cut a lot of it. But she was very confrontational with her chat. She was very confrontational about React channels. I've left a little bit of that in for the, fourth live stream in a row. She starts talking about French Fry Girl and all of that, and I'm just, while still claiming she doesn't watch any of these peoples, and she doesn't, doesn't watch any of these people, and doesn't know anything about it. So, and you know, old chat, you would know better because maybe you watch them and that stuff. And I'm like, oh, you can have one or the other, you can't have both, you know? So just be prepared for that. Her attitude was in full force.
I'm sick of the same parroting going on around everywhere. Pupils.
Yeah. Pupils are an issue because, as previously discussed, you are a lying liar who lies. And when you present evidence, your pupils were hard evidence you were on something. So be angry at the fact that it was revealing because you didn't want to talk to us about this, but to dismiss it, the pupils, like it was a nothing thing and were being ridiculous for looking at them, you set this up. You painted that target on yourself. Don't be surprised that a few arrows are flying.
Like, so many words that annoy me now. Narcissist, I can't fucking hear that word anymore. You guys ruined it.
That's fair, I can imagine. She does get words flung at her a lot, so I can bet she gets frustrated with them. But as she's mentioned before, sometimes she gets angry because things are true. So I'm not saying she's a narcissist. I know people do throw that word around a lot. I have no way of knowing. She has no diagnosis for it. Sometimes words irritate her because they're true and they reveal a truth that she doesn't want to show. So that's why she's so angry.
Girl, I just want to like kill somebody. You want to hear that?
Fair.
Figuratively kill somebody, not literally. Here we go. And the people in the back, in the bottom, being the reaction channels who make up shit.
Did we make up shit? I remember sitting here being like, oh, I don't think she's doing that because what the fuck did I know? But if it ends up being true, did we actually make up shit? Because you ended up being on coke. Was that incorrect? You ended up, all the things we were worried about at the beginning of this arc when we were like, this is a massive red flag, you've got a very addictive personality, this is going to be a problem for you, please don't do this. We were more concerned than anybody in your life about you, and we're making shit up? No. We're reading accurately. In most cases, I was not accurate when I defended you. But we're reading accurately what you're presenting. There is a difference. It not being a truth you like doesn't stop it being a truth.
Croutons, I know. Croutons are nasty.
The word croutons is nasty. Can I ask a question? What do you call the stuff that collects in the corner of your eye? Because in Britain we just call it sleep. Oh, I've got a little bit of sleep in my eye, because you usually get it when you wake up. And that's a perfectly lovely benign word. Why are all the words for it so gross?
You should get those contacts that make your whole entire eyeball one ginormous pupil. I know. And come on and be like, hi guys. I'm not on anything.
Potentially I'm overly sensitive, but it feels a little bit early to be making a joke about this. Like too soon, man, too soon.
When they can take a screenshot, put it on the farms, zoom in. She's totally fucking high.
You are literally sitting there with a lit joint. Do you think knowing you're high requires detective work right now?
What a lol cow. She's so high.
Again, sitting there with a joint.
She's kush. It's very good.
Okay. Please don't advise people to do drugs on your paid YouTube channel, on your unrestricted stream. Please don't do that. And anyone watching, if it's illegal where you are, please don't do that.
People think maybe I should log off, but I mean, this is my job, number one. Number two, it actually does improve. It actually keeps me distracted talking to you guys about things and hanging out with you guys.
I can believe when she's not raging, it makes her feel better. I don't necessarily think her online relationships are productive and healthy. I think it helps keep her sick, which is a phrase she used. Secrets help keep you sick. So she thinks, okay, well, if I talk to my members, then that's different. But I think in her case, a good portion of her ride and dies help keep her sick.
Like, it's so much less lonely. Like, you guys are still people.
Okay. But not people I hide certain things from the way I hide people in my real life, because you are people, but you're still words, and there's a separation there. It's a very weird situation.
The assessment, yeah. So, I mean, it didn't really, they didn't really give me, they just gave me some resources, basically, that, will be helpful. I just have to use them.
Yeah, she won't.
Definitely I'll sign up for that website, see if, like, I could talk to, like, a counselor. See if that helps. If it's not enough, and I feel like I have some crisis numbers, but I also have my family that I can just call anytime.
Right. But not a doctor. Like, if it's not enough, you could go talk to your doctor and say, hey, this doesn't seem to be working for these reasons, but that might lead to an in-person therapist, and she don't want that either.
And I think if I start feeling depressed and, like, getting cravings or something, I will
go to a doctor, go back on your antidepressants, get maybe prescribed medical marijuana. There's lots of options you won't take.
I haven't been eating more, which is good. Like, at my uncle's, I had trouble, like, we made homemade pizzas yesterday. My mom came over, my sister, and we made homemade pizzas. Oh my god, and it was thin, and I had, like, 2 not even big pieces, and I was just like, I'm gonna die. Like, I felt so full.
At her uncle's, she arrived still under the influence because she had used all night and then gone to the hospital and just gone to his. So it doesn't surprise me her appetite still would have been limited, because that's what she was using partly for, because it was limiting her appetite. And you talk about still feeling the effects for a day or 2 or 3. At that point, definitely it would have been an appetite suppressant, I'm guessing.
What the reason for you needing to log off?
It would be healthier in general.
No, I mean, like, people were thinking it would be healthier mentally, and, like, obviously, like, social media is so toxic, so.
Her stream was cutting in and out at this point, so I was struggling to understand some points, but social media can be extremely toxic. I think she has cultivated a very toxic community, and I do think it would be good for her to take a step away. Sorry, there is a banging right now, and I don't know where it's coming from. I'm hoping the camera isn't picking up.
I understand that. You can't make friends with salad. So, I mean, I totally get that.
But you're not going to do it.
You should log off, or because people are so cruel online when you talk about stuff like that. But it's like, why should I run away from sharing my story when it gets bad?
And this is where she becomes the whole world's victim again, and social media is so cruel, and you can't share anything, and addict shaming, and blah, blah, blah. And yes, acknowledgement entirely, there are some very cruel parts of her community. There are very cruel parts of the reaction community towards her, and I'm not going to shy away and be like, that's not true. But she cultivates that a lot. She really does. Like, you tend to get out of your community a lot what you put into it. And if you look at other people who are going through, let's be optimistic and say, a recovery story, it's not the fact that you are within a potential addiction and where you are in that potential addiction that makes your channel the way it is, that makes your community the way it is. It is straight up you. It is your response to things. It's how you were talking to your paying members this entire time, this entire stream. And it's how you generally treat and grow and interact with your audience, and the lies used correctly that you tell us. That's what makes your presence on YouTube the way it is. So yes, can it be a toxic place? Can people in general in life and on social media be very judgmental? Can those judgments be thrown in harsher relief over the medium of social media? Absolutely. In all things, absolutely. But you are more responsible for the community you have than you are willing to take responsibility for.
Like, what do people expect? To just have happy moments and successful moments in recovery?
No, it's clearly
in
our
life? Fault. Like I say, people accuse me of lying. I mean, I lied about, I kept it from you guys about the whole addiction thing. I would say also, you're a liar if you say you never lie. So why are you like discussing, like, why, you know what I mean? Like, people like to berate other people for being human.
I don't think that's what's happening here. I think you lie a lot on your channel. I think not all lies are created equal at all. You'd be like, well, of course I lied. Everybody lies. Everybody lies. Not everybody goes on YouTube and says, no, I'm not using, and how dare you, and insults their audience. And then it turns out, no, I am. The fact that people lie doesn't excuse you from the lie. And the fact that you don't, I think you do understand that. I think you're willfully misunderstanding that, and you're willfully victimizing yourself to try and avoid any consequence to that.
It's just like when you're the same, you're a fucking hypocrite.
Right.
What?
I've never come onto my channel and told people, no, I'm not on coke and fuck you and I'm blocking you, and then turned up with coke in my nose. If I ever do, come back and call me a hypocrite.
Like, are no reaction channels a mess at all? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know these people. You guys probably watch them. I don't.
That's, speaking of lies, that would be a good example of a lie and not a failure, which is still something she is confusing. Of course, reaction channels are a mess too. Of course they are. Now, she does have this idea that everything she does is actually what everybody does, and they're just being more secretive about it, which I don't think is the case. But I would say no matter where you are in the reaction sphere, in terms of your tone, your delivery, because there's a big difference between different reactors and their style. One common thread that people tends to join us as a community is that we relate to certain things and we have opinions on certain things about what she does. If you don't have an opinion, there's no reason to make a video, right? So a lot of us, and I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of the channels I have seen, we frequently have like a hook in. For me, it was her eating and my relationship with food and kind of how I connected with some of the thought processes she was showing online, and that whole kind of idea with the psychology of food and overeating and all of that, I suppose. And I know that, again, I'll say Smokey Steve, he comes from a history of eating disorders and addiction, and so it's really interesting for him. And other people were overweight and they came in it for the weight loss journey. And we've all been a mess. Every person in this world is a mess to an extent, yeah? And none of us are perfect. We are pretty average people. But to say, no, our messiness, the things that we struggle with, our challenges, are what usually, if I can generalize, I suppose, usually draw us to your channel. Because that's the connection, that's the investment we have. Where, I mean, for me, wanting you to get better, having been on kind of the journey myself in some aspects, and wanting you to come out the other side of it and go through the same realizations as I went through. Well, whether that's going to happen with you is a big old question mark. Maybe not that much of a question mark, to be completely honest. It's getting less and less hopeful. But to say, no, we react because we're perfect. No, we react usually because we're not.
I mean, from what I've seen, are they not, like, some of them even messier than me? So why are people watching that but not me because I'm a mess?
Because we tend to be a bit more reliable than you, I suppose. Because you tend to block everything on your channel, and the interaction and the ability to speak your mind and the ability to talk with like-minded people, I suppose, is present on our channels in a way that isn't on yours. And because you have some very problematic behavior that's funded a lot by YouTube, and sometimes they don't want to support it.
I don't get it. It's because I don't talk shit about people?
You talk shit about people. Oh. That was quite a fast emotional change. Apologies. You talk shit about people all the time. You talk shit about French Fried Girl practically every stream now. You talk shit about people so much. You still call DC Media Girl Roy Orbison, I think it is. Like, you talk shit about people so much.
I don't have that mentality anymore that all reaction channels and people who talk about me, like make videos discussing something about me, are haters. I don't think that.
She's actually, if I can take a second to give her a mediocre of credit, she has, in a general sense, gotten a little better with it. But because people send her stuff, because she absolutely does watch reaction channels, when she loses her temper, all of this goes out of the window. But she was on a good roll of mentioning still, but not giving that much energy to reaction channels for a while there. And she seems to be kind of losing it a little bit right now, but I mean, I imagine she's pretty sensitive about the fact that they were able to see she was on coke when she considers herself a consummate actress. But she has previously, but somewhat recently, been a bit better with it, and but she's had her moments, let's say.
But there are definitely some, a lot of them.
Yeah, there are
I'm trying
definitely.
to fully process how I'm feeling, because I don't do that. That's what I do. I just go on and like make more promises to myself, like that I don't keep.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking she was still talking about reaction channels. No, she doesn't process her emotions. She just kind of has intentions and not follow-throughs. And, you know, these moments of slight clarity, and that was really the only thing I wanted to talk about with the spaghetti live. She had a couple of moments of clarity where she was like, I think if someone told me I was going to die, I still wouldn't change, which is kind of sad, but is what it is. Most people, their rock bottom is realizing they're going to die if they don't change, and if she doesn't have that, then she doesn't have a bottom. And I mentioned I think she had further to go, and she gets scared sometimes when death suddenly feels a little bit closer, when she does have to go to emergency rooms or have these medical emergencies. Sorry, I realized that was a very stark thing to say. Apologies if that was a little bit too blunt. The fear doesn't stay with her long enough. She has the moment of it, and then she cannot sustain it. And I worry where that's going to lead her.
Promises to you guys I don't keep. By the way, not keeping promises is not lying. People think...
It can be if there was no intention to keep the promise. We talked about this yesterday. It's failing. Having an intention that was true at the time of saying it that you don't follow through on is failure. Saying you're not on coke when you are is a lie.
People don't know the definition of words they use.
She really does struggle a lot of the time with the words she uses.
A lot of the time. You know, like if I watch, let's say I watch 90 Day Fiancé, I do like watching like reactions to it in a lot of ways. Actually, I don't really. I actually haven't really watched, other than Pillow Talk, I haven't watched reactions of it. But I probably would watch a video, I guess, I don't know, of talking about it.
She's not sure how much she wants to wade into the idea that she finds reactions okay in certain circumstances.
But I don't like mean ones. I don't like when they're dogging the celebrities or making fun of their appearance. I don't get pleasure from people's pain.
I'm gonna leave this right here.
Mona crazy. Yeah, that's true. It might sound mean, but yeah, it's accurate.
And that's one thing I'm thankful for as a person, that seeing people struggle, I actually feel bad.
I don't have the clip of her laughing at the person in Psychomerge that was clearly feeling bad, but we've got the emergency room reaction, we've got that. Also, I feel like at this point, I know it's not people, but I kind of want that driving clip where she went over some frogs and killed them and laughed. I kind of want that clip in here as well.
For those people. But like, for example, like a while ago, like I was gonna strike a channel.
Oh, this.
And like, for bullying and harassment, but then I figure this person might not, if they get their channel taken down or something happens to their channel, then they won't be able to afford their bills. So I actually I was like, just let.
So this would be a great example of a lie. And if you're confused as to failure versus lying, this is a lie. She did mention this when it happened because she was trying to kind of rehabilitate her image. That no, I considered it and I just thought it might be a terrible thing to do to people. She has, historically speaking, frequently lost her shit when reaction channels have gotten monetized at 1,000 people and waited until they've been monetized to strike them, because she can't stand the thought of people making money off of reacting to her content because she considers it money stolen in a way. But not only is that not true, she's frequently extended energy waiting to make sure it's true. So you don't get to rewrite that particular bit of history, thank you.
Talk shit about me, I don't care anyway.
You care.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt bad. So, like...
She hasn't felt that bad, and she has had numerous channels struck and taken down.
No, it's true. Like, I actually thought about that, like, for a minute. So, like, I don't know. I don't take pleasure out of seeing people hurt or...
Again, think of the examples she's given us.
pain, or what helps you to feel motivated.
She's got no idea.
I never really think about that inspirational stuff, Liliana. To have my version of a happy life, you know, not somebody else's. I'm just happy being alive. It doesn't take much for me these days. Like,
she should be happy to be alive at this point because she's facing a lot of stuff. And the fact is, some of it is reversible with a lot of work. Whether she does the work is extremely questionable. But I wouldn't consider her a happy person. And that is something that can be very difficult to gauge online, but she doesn't strike me as happy. She doesn't strike me as satisfied with her life. She wouldn't need to run away from it so much if she were.
Also ask me a lot of questions like that, like, would you say you have feelings of, you know, like, and I don't, I really do, I'm grateful just to be alive.
I don't think she knows how to make herself happy. I don't think she knows how to do that. I think if she were willing to commit to therapy, that would be a really great thing for a therapist to unpack. I think probably the question made her very uncomfortable in the screening, because I don't think she really knows at all, and I'd love her to find out.
I saw my mom and sister yesterday. It was so nice. It was like hanging out with my sister. And what's your vision of a happy life?
A good question,
well,
but she's not going to know.
Not having my whole life mapped out.
Right. That felt like a little bit of a cop-out in the fact that she didn't really... She has railed against the idea of domesticity and being ordinary. I think she considers herself extraordinary, and so in kind of internally, and ordinary has always been a bit of a trap for her. It's too normal, it's too regulated, and she's always, you know, rage against the machine. She hates being part of it. And she runs away and she runs away and she runs away. She runs into substances, she runs into her car, she runs into the idea of Euro being in Jamaica. And Jamaica is still very prevalent in the discussion. To say, well, I don't want a structured life, I can understand, but she doesn't seem to function well without that structure at all. So it feels like when she says, well, I don't want other people essentially to tell me what to do with my life, I actually understand that. I think there is a very heavy social expectation that your life would go a certain way. And that's something I'm a single woman, I'm 38, I live abroad, I don't have my own family, I haven't had kids. And that's not always an expectation that people have for me, for women. And you can live whatever life you want to live, and I'd love her to figure out what life would make her happy in a productive way, because I want to achieve this would equal, okay, if she worked with a therapist, with somebody, how can we map out steps to do this? How can we get you to take those steps? But she's not there, and it feels like she was just trying to escape answering.
You know what I mean? Like, just going with the flow in a way. just not taking life so seriously and myself so seriously. And that's why I try so hard to not be negative and not.
Hands up if you think she's not a negative person. Go with the flow again. Go with the flow, not think too hard. That's not, in my opinion, living your best life, living the life that makes you happy. I think that's avoiding living life at all. Because I think if she thinks about her life, it makes her intensely unhappy, so she just doesn't think about it. So everything she's listing here is a means to escape having to meet any responsibility in her life.
Have that around, like, you know, people who think, like, I used to think that way, like, okay, now I'm in high school, now I have to think, oh no, what am I going to do in university, then am I going to have like a house and get married and blah blah, and that's fine, like that's what people do, but like to have it all planned out, like.
And this is the bit where I agree. This is what I was talking about with kind of, we'll see if that ends up in the final edit, but about how my life path has not been a traditional one in terms of what people might expect me to do in terms of buying property or getting married or having kids. And I can understand if it's not for her either. It's completely okay to not necessarily want a traditionally timed out future. But her alternative at the moment seems to be so do nothing and rage when responsibility rears its head. And she can choose to do whatever she wants, but she's not doing anything, you know?
You know, it's kind of, it just bores me.
Okay, so find something that doesn't.
I don't need to go into detox. I've talked to the friggin' assessment center. Like,
Get
people
angry.
think they know better than these, like, professional people.
Oh, you frequently think you know better than professionals.
People make assumptions. It's weird. Yeah, and then they take that as truth and then say I'm lying because that truth is not the same as my truth.
Your truth is not the same as the truth, which is why we have to look so hard. People do take what, she's talking about reactors again. People do take what reaction channels say, and I do think you should take everything anyone says with a pinch of salt because it's an opinion, we don't know. But when channels come up and say, all right, I think this because of this, that's my opinion, these are the reasons I think so, people can read that and go, actually, that makes sense, in a way that they can't always on your channel because you hide so much and you delete so much and you rewrite so much history. You are not reliable as a source of info. Your truth does not match the truth, and therefore we have to make our own. And because we're working with such unreliable material, sometimes we're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. And if you were clearer and more honest in your channel and what you were providing, we wouldn't have to go to that trouble and we'd make less mistakes with it. But we're past the point where you can be trusted.
Oh, I want a piece of chocolate.
Okay, microdosing.
So let's see, how many is one piece? Okay, so 1,000 milligrams. So one square is how many? Somebody.
I think she wants chocolate just because she wants chocolate at this point, is a little bit munchy, which I think is one of the other things that's quite dangerous with her edibles consumption, is that sometimes she just wants them to eat and not to get high. So she ends up taking a lot more in.
Tell me, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 24 pieces? 41. Oh, thank you, Marissa.
So she's had the pre-roll, she's had the 41 grams. She's got an open bag of gummies there, which I think aren't going to last very long. Like, this isn't microdosing.
Yeah, I'll be back. Get on the stream of hamburger eyes. Yeah, I'll have another piece of chocolate. I'll be sleepy.
Yeah. So that's another 41 grams. So we'll then be at what? Just with what we've seen her take, the 82 plus whatever was in the joint. I also left that in because I hate the fact that the stream was encouraging her, no, get more high and come back. It's such a terrible place for her. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, I just going to say the second one, the only real points of interest were her small moments of clarity, but if they're not going to stick around, it doesn't really make a difference. But if she's determined to live the way she wants to live, if you can call it living, whether or not it kills her, then only she can make that choice, which is the freedom she wants, but might kill her. So that's where we are with Foodie, which is a little bit of a scary place, but we're going to have to see what happens next. All right, everybody, I'm going to see you soon. Bye-bye.